My name is Michael Strumsky, and this is my podcast, People More Interesting Than Me. Each episode, I'll interview a person with a different background to try to understand what circumstances, family, or tragedy has made them into the individual they are today. Enjoy. This is the first episode of People More Interesting Than Me. Say your name.
My name is Azam Ansari.
And I've known Azam, I don't know, like 10, 15 years, probably 15 years, something like that.
Yeah, about like 15 years during college. For
Yeah.
sure, I visited you sophomore year,
Yeah,
VTech.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah, and I'm pretty sure you're much more interesting than me. So let's
yeah,
let's dive into that. So you grew up in Maryland or Montgomery County, just like me.
yeah. So I was actually I was born in Chicago, and then my family kind of bounced around. We moved to Arizona, and then we lived in Arizona for like maybe like 9 months, not that long. And then after Arizona, we moved to Maryland. Went out in '95, and we kind of settled there. And it was my mom, my dad. I have an older brother, older sister. Uh, my sister's like 11 years older than me. My brother's 8 or 9 years older than me. So there's like huge gap. I'm kind of like the baby of the family.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
and what's that like?
It was dope to see like my older siblings go through like whatever they went through and kind of like learn from them. Like, and then also I always got my way with my mom, especially. Like I never did anything wrong. That's one
Yeah.
thing. And then but like for me, my like the one thing I appreciated probably the most from being youngest is like just seeing like kind of like my brother and sister different things that they tried and did and like stuff that worked for them and kind of learning from their experiences and then like my own experiences too. But like I've learned a lot from like my older siblings too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an only child, but my both my parents come from big
Wow.
families, so like my
I'm
mom
surprised you're an older
yeah,
child.
yeah, it's how spoiled I am. uh
No, you seem really normal.
but it just baffles me, like, with all that stuff, just because the first, like, siblings, kind of anything they do compared to them, as long as they're not like wonderkins or like savants, that they kind of youngest kid does, is nothing compared to like what the first two did, in your case, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Like my sister, she's the oldest. She was very, I think, like driven, career driven, really smart, really like more than like book smart, like street smart, like very did well in college and more in career. But I
Mhm.
feel like I don't know why, like maybe it's because she's maybe she's a girl or whatever, but the that I feel like she doesn't get as much of the appreciation like as like an older sibling who accomplished as much.
Okay. Do you think,
Yeah.
I guess, from your your parents' background, is that more pressure on your sister or your brother?
I would say like based on my Muslim background, I would say that one of the main reason for like not her getting as like much like appreciation for like what she did in her career or like anything like that. There is a lot of pressure from my brother, but there's a lot of pressure in general for like I would say like boys or girls in a Muslim like in a Muslim household. Pressure to finish school, pressure to get married and have a family and all that. And my sister felt the same pressures. My brother felt that same pressure. I feel like her accomplishments in her career kind of get overlooked
Hmm.
sometimes when it comes to my sister.
Yeah, and she's the
Yeah,
oldest, right?
yeah, she's the oldest. Yeah.
So that's even more pressure, I would imagine.
Mhm.
You said, or I guess you mentioned it to me before we started talking, but your parents are originally from, you said, Pakistan and sorry, I missed the other one.
No, India. My dad is from India and my mom's from Pakistan. And there's a lot of like cultural differences that kind of play a part in that, which I'm ignorant to. Like just because like growing up, I focused more on my American side. I didn't really focus on like my cultural side. If I did, that at most what I did was just like follow like the religion, like pray 5 times a day, like fast during Ramadan, try to go to Friday prayers, stuff like that. But in terms of like really like learning Urdu, which is like the my parents' tongue,
Hmm.
native tongue. I don't know how to speak it. I
You
kind of
can pick up
understand it.
stuff. Okay.
I could pick up some stuff, and then like that's at most. So it's like really bad. But yeah, that's like one bucket list goal I have is like to learn that.
So when you were growing up, would you say you did a lot more since you were under their household as you do now, or was it like consistent throughout?
Are you talking about religious like prayer? Yeah, I'm trying to think how much I prayed when I was living under the like they would definitely call me to prayer and then I would have to pray. When I got older, like in high school, I kind of like didn't pray as much. But then I'd also go through like my different like bouts or phases of like praying. College, I definitely like I didn't pray as much, I would say, during like all of college and then even coming back. Only like semi recently, like maybe the past couple years, 3 years, 4 years, I started praying more on my own, trying to like maintain like the five prayers and stuff like that. And I would say like more recent, I've been maintaining it more than I have like living under like their household. And I think it's a combination of because like me being, I'm someone who's like, if you're gonna force me to kind of like do something, I'm gonna be more less likely to do it. For me, like it has to be more of intrinsic like reasoning. I can't like have like someone force me to do it. Like even if it's working out, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to work out on my own terms or whatever. And then
Yeah, I
that's
get it.
yeah, as bad as that is, like that's how it came to praying. And like I'm getting better at it. It's like keeping me like more on a schedule.
How would you compare like your weeks and your holidays different from people you were growing up with?
Yeah, like Friday prayers are a big thing. So like during school, like when I was in high school, like if school was after Friday prayers, I couldn't really do anything. But there's some times in high school where I would go to like I would walk to the nearest mosque or masjid and then pray Friday prayers there. But other than that, Ramadan, we have a whole month of Ramadan, which is like the month where we fast every day, and that pretty much we don't do anything except like
Go home.
eat and like
Yeah.
go home. Yeah. Other than that, our schedules are pretty much the same. We don't have like any other special days. More just Friday prayer.
Okay. So nothing, no stories that people, I don't know, were baffled.
I mean, besides like the definitely like the mood and everything changed when like of course like when 9/11 happened and
Hmm.
everything. But even before that, if I'm being honest, like with myself, I was a little like embarrassed of like not embarrassed, but like there's like a little of a embarrassment towards like maybe my culture, my religion, and like to the point where I wouldn't wear like my cultural like outfit, like a thobe, or like any other like Camille, Camille, I forgot how to pronounce it, but like some other like Indian outfits that like
Hmm. What set you
I wouldn't
apart,
wear that.
basically?
I wouldn't wear that out in public, and I wouldn't also like. I'd feel embarrassed if I prayed in public too. That's
Hmm.
like another thing. But that was even before like 9/11 happened and everything. And then like for example, like Jomaran Simpson's like Apu and everything. Like
Hmm.
thank you, like that, like the Indian accent. Like I remember, like I wouldn't want my mom to have Indian food for lunch, like because I don't want to just smell up my backpack or like that kind of stuff. There is like some kind of embarrassment that comes with like my culture that I felt growing up, and that was before 9/11. But after 9/11, I was almost like embarrassed to even practice like my religion. For me, there's like a strong difference between religion and culture, like
Hmm.
Islam and being half Indian, half Pakistani. Because, for example, there's like a Muslim I've met like Asian Muslims and I've met like South Arabian Muslims, like Arab Muslims, and they have a completely different culture, complete different customs and that we have, and but we still follow the same religions where we still pray 5 times a day and stuff like that. But like so culturally, I did feel some kind of embarrassment within my culture. Like when it comes to the food, when it comes to the clothes, I wouldn't want it to be noticed, associating me in public,
Hmm.
kind of. That's just me growing up as a kid. I feel like every Indian kid growing up in America feels somewhat that. But after 9/11, there was a shift of like, oh man, I'm afraid to even like kind of practice my religion or like pray like in public and stuff like that. I remember praying like with my brother-in-law. We went to a Redskins game, a Redskins Steelers game, and it was like halftime, and we were praying like in the corner, like some one of the custodians, like I think was also Muslim, and he kind of like had like a room where he were able to pray real quick, and so we're praying, and like a couple of kids like just like ran in and was like terrorist and like ran away, And like it's like really funny, but like that's like the one thing I remember from the game. Like I don't even really remember the score or like anything. I think the Steelers won. I think it was preseason too. I forget, but like and it wasn't even like that like rude because like growing up like after 9/11 and 9/11 happened when I was in sixth grade. So like that's like a really tough time also to be grown. Kids are rough in the sixth like middle school. They don't hold back. And so like you either had to learn like to deal with this one way or the other. And so like personally how I feel like with my personality and how I dealt with it is I kind of made it a joke and like laughed like because it's easier to laugh with them than for them to like laugh at you. So like I would also make a joke. I would also like say like, "What you think I'm cherished?" and like
You
all
kind of make
that.
the
Like
joke first.
make the joke first and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you think after 9/11 it made it more difficult to kind of not make new friends, but kind of, I guess, be more open in your school life or meeting new people?
Yeah, for sure. And like I felt that like definitely middle school, like throughout high school, up until like maybe junior senior year. But like I even remember like in middle school, like I had a close friend, and we would like walk into his house. He lived right by the school, so we were walking over, and he told his dad that I was coming over, and then he told his dad he's telling me as a joke, but like this happened with him and his dad previously, so I wasn't there. But he was just talking to him and his dad, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, my friend is coming over. He's Muslim and stuff like that." And his dad, like as a joke to him, was like, "Is he the good or bad kind?" And then these are all funny jokes, but like it's also like I wasn't there, so like I kind of got an impression of like
Yeah.
where where he's coming from, and then like be like these jokes, like I don't know, like it's like you said, you had to like I had to make a joke first. I had to be the first one to say in order like for me to be laughing with them and stuff like that.
So, touching on the part that I kind of mentioned earlier with your religion and talking about how it's actually in your daily life. And with my family, it's kind of like we went to church and basically it was like a light switch on and off. Like we never really talked about Catholicism outside of actually going to the mass. It was like now we don't need to talk about it anymore. Was that kind of like you were growing up, or what was kind of like the vibe or the vibe right now?
Maybe like maybe when I was growing up a little bit, and like it's in general, it's kind of hard for Islam. I'll say this, like Islam, if you're a good practicing Muslim, it's very hard for you to not have Islam be part of your daily life. It's really hard. Because there's certain things in Islam. But like so growing up, of course I wasn't like the greatest like Muslim at all. And even like to this day, like I'm not, but like I'm learning more about like Islam. For example, like I believe there's like five pillars of Islam, and I'm so horrible. I hope I can name them all. One's fasting during the month of Ramadan. One's praying five times a day. One is donating like one third of your salary, and then the other two, oh, perform Hajj, which is like you go to Mecca and you it's the like cube structure
Mhm.
for people who don't know, and you walk around and there's like a specific process. Perform Hajj is the fourth one, and the fifth one is say that your faith or your man is like this saying or dua like Allah is the only God, and Muhammad peace be upon him is his messenger. Just saying that like do we believe in one God and then his prophet Muhammad peace be upon him, and then also in Islam we also believe in multiple prophets. There's a plural. There's a bunch of prophets. There's like Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Moses is on Musa. We call him in Arabic. We call him Musa. Jesus, Isa in Arabic. They're all prophets in Islam. But going back, those are the five pillars. And if you practice those like five pillars, then Islam will be part of your daily life. Growing up, one thing is I didn't realize is like donating is a one thing I appreciate more now, especially now that I'm making like my own money and everything, is donating, and that's comes in so many different forms. Like donating, like you could do it the very lazy way, where it's like at the end of the year you just donate a third of your salary, or you could do it like every month, consciously think of like something a cause you want to do, which I've been doing, which I've been trying to do is like think of specific causes and also like now I've been trying to do this more like specifically help the community like around you. For me, like what that is, I'm start off, we start with like Muslim families that need help and like they have different situations they're going through. But doing that now, I feel like Islam is way more now a part of my daily life because I'm thinking consciously like, all right, like I have this mattress that who can I give this mattress to? And like, or am I gonna like, I was gonna like, or like throw it away, something small like that. That's very small, like different
Mhm.
things like that. I feel like
But it's like your
I
thought process is kind of changed now, kind of
changed.
like, I don't know. It's like you're more, I don't know, aware that like
Yeah,
your actions and what you can do to help. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna throw it away or toss it or something like that.
yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. It's everyday decisions that come throughout the day. So like if I'm like, yeah, it's much easier for me to just throw out the mattress. But like I remember there's like this Muslim family that needed it, that could have needed it, and I texted them and like they ended up needing it, and that's like something that I feel like I'm trying to be more religious than a big part of Islam or religion, in my opinion, and religion in general, is like helping the community, just like a sense of community. And I feel like I've appreciated that more growing up. And I feel like my religion has changed my thought process when like comes to everyday decisions of like specifically like my salary or like any items around the house that I could throw away or whatever. I think like what a better use of it could be.
Okay. So overall, how do you think, I guess, coming back to, I guess, the main appeal of this podcast, how do you think, I guess, your upbringing has affected you as a person? How do you think it shaped you into the man you are today?
Um,
I know that's
that's
a
a
very large question.
no, that's a good question. Um, That's a good question. I would say like my parents, if it was just like kind of like my parents taking me to Juma Friday prayer and then taking me home, and that like kind of was beginning and end of the religion, it would be hard for me to really pick up on a lot of stuff that like helped me become who I am. For example, like I think my mom like and dad, my mom especially like really spent a lot of time in masjid, and so like I growing up, I met a lot of my friends. I met my like really closest friend most in there, and we were able like I don't know, there's just kind of this sense of community growing up where like there wasn't if there is a kind of a bully, like people kind of like pick on that bully. Like they don't let like the bully pick on someone. And then it's like I learned to play basketball, play football with them. Like I learned a lot growing up. I met some good friends there. So I think for me, the strongest impact my religion gave me was my sense of community.
Okay.
And then that even came even like later on, like now that I'm able to like I want to pay it forward where now that I have enough money or whatever, I'm able to like consciously think like how can I help give back. It's especially like in Ashburn and around this Northern Virginia community, they have a really strong like Muslim community that really gives back, and they have like they do a lot of fun activities that like I feel it's really difficult, especially during COVID and pandemic, like being in lockdown, trying to like go out and meet people or like, and so that they also provide like a really strong sense of community too.
Okay.
But like that's what I would say the strongest impact religion has had on me.
And that kind of shows with the Enneagram test I gave you, I don't know, like last week, and you got a
Oh yeah,
type
yeah.
two. Type two
Type
is the
two.
helper. At their best, they're
Oh
very
yeah.
kind and generous. Type two, they really value the lens of their relationships. So that's just so funny. I mean, Kara,
Oh
she's the
dang.
one who's very like big on this personality test stuff.
That's
And
cool. Yeah.
I would definitely check it out just because it's sometimes it's kind of scary because when you read it,
Yeah.
they show you different stuff like they'll say like they'll describe you, but they'll also say what you do in times of stress. Like you'll change into a
Mm.
different type. Here it says in times of disintegration, I guess that's harm. They say they can be, well, this sounds bad, but manipulative,
Ooh.
people pleasing, enmeshed, or codependent, which
Ooh.
I don't know if that
I
sounds,
definitely see. I definitely see people pleasing.
but
uh,
just to wrap it up, what kind of things do you think like when you have kids, which will probably be sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think you're gonna, I guess, instill in them that you think you would pass on from your parents? And second part, what do you think you want to instill that maybe your parents didn't stress upon?
Yeah. That's really good. Like one thing that my parents instilled in me that I feel isn't separate from religion and culture and everything is they made dinner. My mom really forced like everyone to have dinner together. And so we'd always have dinner together and it would always be a thing. Like even if I had homework, she would scream at me till I come down. That's something that I really appreciated. Now, one thing that I feel like I would improve upon, maybe with my parents, specifically religion, is disciplined religion into making it feel like a chore. And so like, awesome, pray now. Like you haven't prayed, pray now. And like harp and focus. And prayer is a huge part. Prayer is like a really huge component of Islam. But for me, like what I would want to do is like teach my children to be a good Muslim, but then like a good Muslim in that be a good person first and let that kind of fit in the mold of like being a good Muslim. And like what I mean by that is like teach them that it's good to donate, and then that is also part of like Islam. Teach them that to pray 5 times a day, and that teaches like discipline. And like there is other aspects of like Islam, like wudu, which is like the preparation before Islam, where there's a lot of like cleanliness that goes into Islam that like I would teach them that like you should do, but then also it's part of Islam. Kind of like stuff
Not
that like
super
you
strict,
should,
but kind of like
yeah,
a loving way to do it where you're not
yeah,
throwing it on them, but kind of slowly trying to teach them. And
yeah. Don't like harping on them like for exactly like forcing on them, but then like also like teach them like good things like you should do. These are really like good habits that you should pick up on and do, and these are also like part of your religion. And like hopefully they would do that and like listen. But like who knows? Like with kids, like with my sister, she has like four, and they're, excuse me, 12, twins at 10, and then 8. And all the kids usually pray, especially the oldest. But like maybe I feel like if anyone who doesn't is Amina, who's the female, the girl twin, and she just like kind of like goes to the beat of her own drum. And then one thing that's cool that I think my sister does that I might adopt is she doesn't really like beat it down on her. Like, hey, why aren't you praying? Like, pray now. Like, she's like, okay, you didn't pray. All right, like it's up to you. And like like when they were younger, she would give more incentive for like, all right, your allowances since you prayed and did it, you got your allowance, or like you will get served candy, or she had some different kind of incentive system.
Mhm.
But like I'll try to adopt that. And also one thing that I think that's really cool that my sister does, if I could keep going,
Oh, keep going.
is my family kind of like I always felt like Islam, my religion was like a little bit of a chore and like part like what I should do, what I have to do. For example, and like even Ramadan. And like Ramadan, like it was kind of Eid. There's we have two Eids in Islam. We have one that's at the end of Ramadan, and then Ramadan is the month where we fast every day. And then at the end of that month, we have Eid. And even Eid, we have like a prayer and everything. And all my family did was we just went to the masjid and we prayed. And that was our Eid. And we went to lunch. We went to lunch together, which was fun. It was a lot of fun. But don't get me wrong, like you grow up watching these American movies with like Christmas movies where like people have like this presents where they wake up to and like all this like stuff that I wanted that I was really jealous of growing up. And so one thing that my sister does that she changed up, she makes a big like it makes either extravagant event. She like has like multiple presents and like they're not even big presents. It's more of like the effort she puts into it. Like there'll be like a scavenger hunt and like they get like little toys here and there, and then like waking up to fast like it's like more fun and everything. So like I like the approach my sister took, and she made Islam like less of a chore and like more of like a family like event and like
Like a
fun and everything.
tradition, kind of. More like when they look
Exactly.
back
Yeah.
at it, it wasn't something that you were forced to do, but rather something that's like you were doing as a family, you were
Yeah.
bonding, stuff like that. Not like
Yeah. Exactly.
it was a duty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and later on, like you were kind of saying that when you got older, you recognized it more, like you
Mhm.
appreciated it. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
I guess, tactic with her kids. She's trying to make it, I guess, more appealing. So maybe looking back at it,
it's
Yeah.
a pleasant memory, and it sounds like a good way. Not that
Yeah.
your parents' way was a bad way, but I
No,
think
no.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
I converted to Judaism, by the way.
Oh, you did.
Yeah. No, I'm
But
joking.
yeah, thank you very much for talking to me on this. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
no
it.
problem.
And I
Yeah.
definitely learned a bunch of stuff.